Ever since we were little, I'm sure we could all remember hearing stories and tales about giants. Jack and the Beanstalk, Mickey and the Beanstalk, even the Jolly Green Giant on our vegetable packages. We have been fascinated by these massive beings for eons, but they're all a myth, right? Wrong. I'm here to tell you that today, giants are indeed real. Hey everyone, Dewey Stewart back and ready to take you through another impressive list, but first, we are getting in closer and closer to the launch of our new channel, Bumblebee. The amazing Rachel Fisher and I will be your hosts over there, and we couldn't be more excited to get started. We already have so many fun videos in store for you that I cannot wait to share, so don't want to miss out on the fun. Be sure to go like and subscribe to our new channel ASAP. Yeah, giants are real, not the ones found in storybooks, towering over small villages. Those aren't real as far as I know. But gigantism is a real condition. Gigantism is a disorder due to extra growth hormone in a person's body. Once a person reaches over 7 feet tall, they are considered a giant. And there's tons of those people throughout history who have rose to over 7 feet in height. Which is why today we're looking at the top 10 real giant encounters in history. So put on your stilts and let's get to it. Starting us off at number 10, we have Kazam, otherwise known as Shaquille O'Neal. For any of you who have seen that movie, man oh man, I rewatched it recently and I do not think it holds up. But if there are Kazam fans watching, please let me know what you think down in the comments. Anyway, back to Shaq. Shaquille O'Neal was born March 6, 1972, and little did his mother know she would be giving birth to one of the most famous basketball players of all time, as well as a modern giant. Shaq clocks in at 7 feet 1 inch, which is 2.16 meters in height, and has quite the list of hilarious pictures comparing his size to other popular celebrities. One of my favorites is a picture of him with A-list comedian Kevin Hart. We all know Kevin is a shorter guy, but next to Shaq, he looks like a tiny villager. Luckily for Kevin, Shaq is just one large friendly giant unless he's on the court. Shaq no longer plays basketball, but is now a sports analyst on NBA-related TV shows, and even though nowadays he's usually seen just sitting at a desk, this man is still a giant. At number 9, we have Anna Haining Bates. Born in the Canadian province of Nova Scotia back in August of 1846, Anna was just like every other child until she started a bit of a growth spurt. A growth spurt that never ended. By age 5, she was already 4 feet 8 inches. That's 142 centimeters, and weighed over 100 pounds. That's over 45 kilograms. Finally, at age 22, she came in at 7 feet 6 inches. That's 229 centimeters and weighed 350 pounds, which is 159 kilograms. Bates went into show business around the age of 16 and would often be shown opposite to a little person to show the incredible difference in size. But being that tall has its disadvantages. In July of 1865, Anna almost burned to death during a fire at the famous P.T. Barnum Museum. The stairs were engulfed in flames and she was too tall to jump out the window. Luckily for her, she was saved by other museum employees who broke through walls to escort her out and was then assisted with a crane. That's crazy. It's hard enough sometimes getting emergency crews to the scene, let alone a crane. But hey, I'm guessing they didn't have the same kind of Toronto traffic as we do nowadays. Anna then later went on to marry another giant by the name of Martin Van Buren, aka the Kentucky Giant, who was 7 feet 3 inches tall. She later got pregnant with 2 children, but they both tragically died at birth. Anna herself later died in 1888 at the age of 41. At number 8, we're going back to the NBA with a basketball superstar, Yao Ming. This famous NBA superstar was born September 12, 1980 in Shanghai, China. Yao Ming's height is an incredible 7 feet 6 inches or 229 centimeters. This giant featherless being has a wingspan of 226 centimeters, which is basically just as tall as he is, and his feet are size 18. Those aren't shoes, those are frickin' water skis. Before coming to play for the NBA, he played for the Shanghai Sharks in the Chinese Basketball Association, and was then drafted to the NBA in 2002 to the Houston Rockets, where he there played until 2011. In February of 2017, Ming was elected as the chairman of the Chinese Basketball Association. Now, there is also a documentary titled The Year of Yao, filmed during his rookie year with the Rockets, as well as a book he co-wrote with NBA analyst Rick Butcher, titled Yao, A Life in Two Worlds. So if you want to get to know him a little bit more, check those out. If you want to see how this giant dominated the court, I'm sure you can find tons of old Rocket games all over the internet. At number 7, staying in China but going back to the 1840s, we have Chang Sing. Sing grew up to be 7 feet 9 inches tall, which is 236 centimeters, and was appointed as a member of the emperor's court. Later on in his life, he left China for England on what was only supposed to be a brief visit, but that brief visit ended up turning out to be a 2-year stay. During his stay in England, many people would stop him and pay 3 shillings just to see him. Later on, taking advantage of the extra cash, he went on tour through the rest of Europe and was shown off along alongside another little person just like Anna Haining Bates. He later also joined P.T. Barnum's circus and was also known to have many female admirers. By the sounds of it though, none of them lasted because I could not find any info on whether he was actually ever married. Maybe he just liked the bachelor life too much. I get it. Anyway, Chang Sing later passed away in 1893 and his funeral was only attended by 50 of his closest friends due to his own wishes. His coffin was 8 feet 5 inches long, that's 260 centimeters, and I don't want to imagine what it was like being one of those pallbearers. If I was one of them, I probably would have let him down. At number 6, we have Patrick Cotter O'Brien. Patrick was born in Kinsale, Ireland on January 19, 1760. He grew up to be 8 feet 1 inch tall, which is 244 centimeters, and he was the first of 13 known people to grow past 244 centimeters. At the age of 18, he worked as a bricklayer. Needless to say, unlike the rest of his bricklaying colleagues, he did not need a ladder to reach the top of the cottages that they were working on. After he had enough of bricklaying, just like the most of the other giants on my list, he went into show business where he later went just by the name of O'Brien. He traveled around in a specially made carriage, and apparently he was once stopped by a highwayman who, when seeing the giant O'Brien inside, immediately ran away with his tail between his legs. His massive weight took quite the toll on his body, which brought him to his death on September 8, 1806 at the age of 46. I'm sure his weight caused him many troubles and struggles, but I bet it wasn't easy for the horses pulling him in the carriage either. That being said, the more horses, the easier it is to pull a 8-foot tall giant. That's the old saying, right? Coming in at our halfway point at number 5, we have another Canadian, Joseph Edouard Beaupre. Joseph was born in Willowbunch, Saskatchewan on January 9, 1881. His parents were what was considered average height, and honestly so was he until the age of 3, and he started growing like crazy. By the age of 9, he outgrew his own parents and he was 6.5 feet tall. At the age of 17, he was so big that it is reported that he lifted an 800-pound horse. I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is, then that means he was not only tall, this guy was yoked too. He reached his full giant potential at the age of 23 at 8 feet 3 inches. That's 251 centimeters. He had to wear giant custom-made shoes that were size 22. If Yao Ming's shoes are water skis, then these are freaking snowboards for each foot. He had dreams of becoming a cowboy, but gave up because his feet would still touch the ground while atop his bucking bronco. He later joined a circus as well as hoping to capitalize on his size, but it took its toll on him, especially because he suffered from tuberculosis. He sadly died on July 3rd at the age of 23. Now, this story gets pretty sad. After his death, the circus refused to help his father pay for the burial, so his body stayed with the undertakers, who then started displaying his corpse in store windows and museums. In 1907, his corpse was found in an old circus hangar and was then given to Montreal University, where it is mummified and stored. In 1970, Ovilla Lesperance, descendant of Joseph, requested her relative's body back, but was at first denied because the university didn't want his body stolen and put up for display again. Finally, Ovilla got her relative's body back and Joseph was cremated in September of 1989, 85 years after his death. Even though his circus employers and maybe the Montreal University people are now deceased, I still have one thing to say to you. Screw you guys. At number 4, we have Arthur Caley. Arthur Caley was born in Sulby, Isle of Man in 1824 and was considered a normal-sized human being until his late teens when he started growing much taller. Maybe it was an after effect of puberty. He reached 7 feet 11 inches tall, which equals to 241 centimeters. He weighed over 392 pounds, which is 178 kilograms. His size earned him the name Manx Giant, and he was known to be a bit more wide than his other giant friends as well. He was frequently seen in exhibits in Manchester, London, and Paris before suddenly and mysteriously disappearing. His mother reported that he was dead, but many doubted this because his life had been insured for £2,000 only a few weeks prior. They believe it was a case of insurance fraud, and that a tree was actually buried in his place. Sure enough, Caley was not actually dead. He traveled also to join P.T. Barnum's circus, and he was known as Colonel Ruth Goshen, the Arabian Giant. His former life as the Manx Giant stayed a well-kept secret until his death in 1889. At number 3, we have Angus Macaskill. Angus was born on the island of Burnay in Scotland back in 1825. The Guinness World Record books recognize him as the tallest true giant to have ever lived because his height was not caused by any kind of growth abnormality. Funnily enough, he was so small at birth that doctors didn't believe that he would survive. Now, Angus only grew to 7 feet 9 inches or 236 centimeters, which may not seem like much after a few of our friends on the list here, but trust me when I say this guy was still absolutely massive. He had the biggest chest ever, coming in at 203 centimeters or 80 inches around. He weighed in at 500 pounds. That's 227 kilograms in case you wanted to know. Oh, and by the way, he could lift a 2,800 pound ship's anchor. He was also known to carry a 100 pound weight, which is 45 kilograms, for 10 minutes using only 2 fingers. Angus often received requests from people wanting to wrestle him. If those challengers didn't have the same size as Angus, they most certainly had guts. He then of course later joined the circus and toured through Cuba and the East Indies until going to Europe and North America. After retiring from the circus, he went into real estate and opened up his own store. Sadly, in 1863, he died from brain fever. Can you imagine rolling up to a house and seeing this guy out front? The outside is perfect and beautiful, but I don't know a damn clue what it looks like on the inside. Can you let me know? At number 2, we have Bernard Coyne, aka Bernard the Giant. Original name, huh? Bernard was born in Anthon, Iowa on July 27, 1897. His actual height is cause for dispute because some report him being 8 foot 2 inches, while others say he was 8 foot 4 inches, while even more people saying that he was 8 feet 8 inches. No matter what though, he was over 8 feet, which is over 240 centimeters tall. He was so tall that he was actually rejected by the army, probably because they could see him coming from miles away and that they were too scared that his rations would need to be 3 times the size of anyone else's. Unlike most other giant people whose height is a result of abnormalities in the pituitary gland, Bernard's height was from the unicoidal infantile gigantism, a very rare syndrome. His parents would put him on display for extra money when he was younger, but later decided against it because they didn't want to be on the receiving end of the wrath of God. Good idea, jerks. Bernard preferred a quiet life and turned down countless offers to go on exhibit ever again. His shoes were a size 24, which means they're considered something, I don't know, bigger than a snowboard, and he weighed in at 300 pounds, which is 136 kilograms. He sadly passed away at the age of 23. Man, being put on display for a couple of extra bucks by your parents. Too bad child services were not around yet. And finally, coming in at our number 1 spot, if you ever visited Clifton Hill on the Canadian side of Niagara Falls, you'll know this guy. Robert Wadlow. Robert was born on February 22nd, 1918 at a normal size. However, he quickly started growing at the age of 5 and he was already wearing clothes intended for teenagers. At age 8, he was taller than his 5'11" father and could even carry him up the stairs. He then joined the Boy Scouts at age 13 and had to have his own uniform, tent, and sleeping bag specially made for him. In 1936, he joined the Ringling Brothers Circus as a curiosity. He had a huge appetite and ate around 8,000 calories a day. In case you're wondering, the average human eats 2,000 to 2,400 calories a day. Damn, that guy can eat. He unfortunately suffered from some leg issues and had to wear leg braces and also often used a cane, but nevertheless, he kept growing. Sadly, one day, one leg brace was fitted improperly and ended up causing him a huge blister on his ankle, which then became infected. Tragically, the infection killed him at the age of 22 on July 15th, 1940. He was last measured June 27th, 1940 at 8 feet 11 inches, which is 272 centimeters. He was a true giant, and not only was he actually missed, but so is his Niagara Falls statue at the Guinness Book of Records Museum. I remember countless trips where I actually measured myself up against him, and that was a lot of fun. Miss you, Robbie. There you have it. That has been our top 10 real giant encounters in history. What did you all think? Do you know of any other giants that I missed, or do you know of any giants, or are you a giant? Let me know down in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe down below, as well as on our new and upcoming channel, Bumblebee. Until next time, I have been your host, Dewey Stewart, and I will see you all back here very, very soon. Bye-bye.